You're listening to KNCE Taos, 93.5 FM, TrueTaosRadio.com. The name of this show is One More Song, open-hearted music for modern times, and I'm your host, Richard Aufrichtig, excited to be here in the studio today with Zephaniah Stringfield. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You've been one of those, you've been on my list of people I've been trying to get for a freshman session, maybe the longest, so I'm excited to have you here. And I really feel like I kind of met you or was introduced to you as kind of like top tier, kind of like Taos grounded folk country musician. And I was curious if you could tell us a little bit of the story of how that came to be in your life.
Oh man, that's an honor. I've been in Taos going on 10 years now, and that's wild to me. I've been writing songs for longer than that, but music's what has kept me here in Taos, for sure. The musicians that I've met here, the connections I've made, the people who have supported me, and the inspiration for songs here has definitely kept me around here. So it's all intertwined, being here and playing music. I traveled around quite a bit. I lived in the Midwest and on the West Coast, in the Northwest. Before I came here, I'm from California originally, from the Bay Area.
Right.
But Taos, the first time I came through, I was a teenager, and my parents brought me through. And I was probably 16 or so, and it just stuck out as like one of the most unique places I'd ever been to. And I'm from the Bay Area, which is pretty unique in itself.
Yeah.
And I grew up, embodying that, dressing weird and roaming the streets and making a scene. And, Taos has other stuff going on too, but I remember Taos being just a unique, memorable character of a town. So when I was in my 20s, early 20s, I decided to move here. Yeah, and the Bluegrass Jam is kind of what kept me sticking around.
Nice. Where is that held now these days?
These days it's held at Taos Cafe. It's actually going on, every week.
Nice.
At Taos Cafe.
What time is that? Just for people tuning in?
Yeah, it's 6:30, I believe, is when they start, and it's till 9:30 or close.
Cool. The Taos Cafe, which was formerly the
plant-based
cafe.
And when we started doing the Bluegrass Jam there, it was Eskies.
Right.
And Eskies, old school. Eskies was kind of my living room of Taos. I know there's a couple bars and restaurants that like to claim that, but for me it was Eskies. I worked there for a little bit and would just show up every evening for music and for hangs and meet up with people I knew would be there.
Nice. So you got to Taos 10 years ago. I'm curious, what was Taos like when you got here, and what's changed, and how has it changed you?
Yeah, well, I think when I came to Taos, then it was kind of as a little bit of a lost soul. I'd been traveling around, kind of moving every 5 months or so, not staying in one place. I was in kind of a tumultuous relationship that was lasting a while. I actually followed her out here, and then we broke up soon after. The classic story. So classic.
I think if you live here for more than 6 months, it's like you're guaranteed to live through that at least one time.
Yeah. Our car didn't break down, so we didn't have that aspect of it. But
Nice.
yeah, so I moved here, kind of lost and not really sure if I was going to stick around or what I was going to do. And, kind of torn up, heartbroken. And Taos has a way, especially then it felt to me, of just like taking you in. If it, people say it takes you in if it wants you here.
Yeah.
And the community, I think, is like that. It's just, you can form strong connections. People want to help each other. There's not as much of a competition feel here. I tried living in San Francisco. I tried living in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis and St. Paul. I tried living in Portland, Oregon, trying to be an artist, trying to be a musician.
Yeah.
It was a little harder there. It was harder to even stand out at all. And here it wasn't so much about standing out as just becoming part of the community. Mm-hmm. And I think, through those sad, hard times at the beginning, it's like people showed up. And
yeah,
that was that was awesome to see. And I hadn't really experienced that elsewhere. You know, I'd had small groups of friends that were good, but you know, just seeing a place where I could kind of grow here. I've grown a lot here. And I've tried to leave too. And I've found it hard.
Yeah. And so a lot of people who are listening in, they might know you from being in the group, the Foggy Memory Boys.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what the origin story of that band is, how it came to be. It's based here in Taos?
Yeah, it's based here in Taos. It's five members. We all live in Taos. The band has been together for probably four or 5 years. I've been in the band for 4 years or so.
Okay.
The band kind of formed from the Bluegrass Jam, and we go to a lot of bluegrass festivals where there's campground picking. Everybody stays up late and plays songs for hours and hours, days at a time, you know. Right. We go to this one in Kansas called Winfield, Walnut Valley Festival. And that's kind of where the idea for the band formed. And Jacob Haggerty, who's a mandolin builder, and he hosts the Bluegrass Jam, he and Andy Yeomans started the band first. They were the core. And then they brought in Willie, who plays dobro, and then I joined the band as kind of a songwriter and another guitarist. And then Matt, the bass player, has been the latest to join. My role in the band has changed a lot because we had 2 acoustic guitars for a while, and I had to figure out how to separate myself from the other acoustic guitar player, which for a while included different voicings on the guitar, putting the capo in different places, playing different chord shapes, playing some lead fill stuff, and eventually that turned into me playing electric guitar more. Once
you get into the lead zone, electric guitar really sings, right?
That's it's so fun. I love that. But we always say that band was born out of the festival spirit, you know, of just bringing good time music, something that everybody can share. You know, we work a lot on arrangements and polishing up our sound, but there's a lot of just improv and a lot of like off the cuff stuff that happens, which I think we really take pride in, or at least we enjoy. Hopefully the audience does too.
I was curious, like as a songwriter, what is the difference for you between a Foggy Memory Boys song and a Zephaniah Stringfield song? And maybe you don't know when you're writing it, but like, is there a moment or how do you differentiate?
Yeah, at first it was taking songs that I had already written to the band and saying, hey, I think this might work. And now it's more like I write songs specifically with the band in mind, which is really fun. I have a country project too, and I do the same thing. I write songs specifically for that band, and just knowing what people's musical tendencies are, what everybody else would add to it, or being at least more familiar with that, knowing what we're capable of. You know, there's 5 of us. We all sing, so there's some harmony, capabilities and. Just the instrumentation, and then just the bluegrass style, trying to write with like that in mind. I let myself in my own solo music career write very vulnerable, therapeutic songs, like a little more intimate kind of stuff.
I get the sense that we're going to hear 5 songs from you today, 3 on the acoustic guitar, 2 on the electric guitar. And I really had this feeling with each of the songs that they seem autobiographical or personal, if autobiographical, at least in the emotional sense. Maybe in a way that a bluegrass song is more autobiographical of like a generational feeling or like a cosmic feeling. There's something very like one person singing a song thing about all of these songs.
Yeah. I think there's an aspect of writing for the band that I like because I can take myself out of it a little bit and try to write a little bit more of a universal or a traditional style song. I can, be okay with it not like, I don't know, opening up my entire heart to the world. It's it fits a mold a little bit more. Yeah. And with my own songs that I write under my own name, it's like I'm trying to dig deeper and deeper as I write, and find some deeper truth, which, hopefully comes out in the bluegrass ones too, but there's a little bit more of a formula for them.
Yeah.
And with my own stuff, it's like I'm searching for a new formula or my own unique, hopefully, or somewhat unique formula.
Yeah, I'm like, you'd freak out the bluegrass guys if you brought in one of your.
I used to, to the bluegrass jam. That's kind of what I did at the beginning. I wasn't a fast picker. I didn't grow up with bluegrass. I didn't even really listen to bluegrass when I started playing at the jam, but I did have some folk songs,
right,
in the Woody Guthrie vein, or Bob Dylan, or, Townes Van Zandt.
What kind of music did you play growing up? You grew up in Berkeley and Oakland.
Yeah. I played all kinds of music. I started on electric guitar, and I played rock and roll and punk and just fiddled around with a lot of modern stuff, and then kind of gave up the electric because of all the gear, and I wanted to be able to sing with my friends in the park, and just like, I got an acoustic guitar that I could bring around with me everywhere. It was a small bodied acoustic guitar, and I brought it with me everywhere.
Nice.
And that's when I started doing more folk songs, sing-along songs and stuff. So I brought some of those to the jam, and kind of started, understanding what the etiquette of a bluegrass jam and what the world of bluegrass is. And there's a lot of, reference points and somewhat rules, to what you bring to the jam, and what works in a jam, what is going to be accessible to everyone else playing.
Right.
Whereas, some of my songs with weird chord changes, or, in more funky rhythms or something, isn't going to be appropriate for the jam.
Right.
But maybe late in the night, I might play one of those and see who sticks around and see who wants to play with me. And
right.
So
I do also feel like there's kind of this like, I feel like in the local bluegrass kind of folk scene, there is this like younger generation looking to branch out kind of vibe. It's like Robert Quijano, Michael Verga, kind of like a constellation of people who have been apprenticing in these kind of like more machine-like projects, but are kind of like, what if I do something a little more like...
Well, bluegrass is a very widely used word now. Like, I wouldn't even say that we are, the whole thing is Bill Monroe would not approve of what we're playing these days. He's considered the father of bluegrass or whatever. But, we tend to go towards more newgrass or, David Grisman kind of stuff that incorporates some jazz and a lot of that kind of improv and opens it up to more musical genre stuff. I think it's a really wide genre these days, and it's very popular, and there's a lot of bluegrass bands. And I think the thing for me that's so cool about it is just the fact that everybody plays together, and like, you can go to a festival and just play with hundreds of people, and some of them are the best musicians you've ever heard who have never played on a stage, and they're just somebody's grandpa who has been playing guitar for a long time, and they sing the most sweet song you've ever heard, and it's 1:00 in the morning, everybody, partying, and you're in some park in Kansas, and like, I love that. It's really, it's really cool. But electric guitar in a bluegrass band is kind of weird. I play kind of a country style electric guitar in the band, and it's not a traditional instrument in bluegrass.
Right.
And I think it's important to know the tradition and to listen to the tradition, and then to branch out. Yeah. And it's good to know what rules you're breaking.
That is so true. Well, let's talk a little bit about the first song that people are going to hear. We'll talk a lot more about your songwriting process in a later interview, but the first song that people are going to hear is called Wood Chopping Song. And you were telling me before that you work as an arborist and you work with a lot of trees, and you wrote this song chopping a tree. Maybe you could paint a picture for the listeners.
Yeah, so I was helping out my friend Jacob, mandolin player in our band in the Foggy Memory Boys, chopping some wood for him, and it's good to sing while you work, and so it started coming into my head, I guess, part of it. I think it was that first line, the work is always slow in the winter months. I feel a storm approaching, coming, another chilly northern front. And it just grew. It's like, I always try to stay open to those lyrics drifting in, and then I have a whole list of one-liners, and I'll go back through sometimes and pull out things that I think could work in a song. And sometimes it takes years for them to actually become a full song. This one came pretty quick.
Where do you keep your sort of like codex, your Rolodex of like things that are waiting for songs. How does that work for you?
I have a computer. I use the computer a lot. I have a Pages file that's called Continued Writing Scattered Thoughts, and I put a date and then just fill in each date and put one-liners, or sometimes it's more run on, stream of consciousness kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't do so much prose writing. I do a lot of those one-liners that then I'll take and turn into verses and chorus and song. But I do a lot of work on the computer. Sometimes I'll scribble something down with a pen and then put it into the computer later. But I like the editing process on the computer. I use my phone sometimes for that too. Sometimes I'll record them on my phone. I think with that wood chopping song, I recorded some of those first ideas like with the microphone on my phone, and then started typing it up and started looking at it as a bigger picture.
Well, cool. So we're going to hear the world premiere of our freshman session from Zephaniah Stringfield, who's here in the studio with us today. First, we're going to hear wood chopping song, then a song called Ghosts, and another song called Lately.
Thanks. Well, the work is always slow in the winter months. Feel a storm a-comin', another chilly northern front. And I need the kind of pastime that can warm me more than once. So I think I'll pull the hatchet from the stump, and I'll give it a swing. I hear the mountains ring, give it a thump as I start to sing. Give it a blow, tell me what do you know? No one knows just what tomorrow brings, and the wheels all start to turn in come spring. The gears we set in motion, they all begin to spin. The pendulums of Providence are swaying in full swing. The road ahead looks clear as a diamond ring. So I'll give it a try, ain't gotta wonder why. Give it my best, look it in the eye. Give it a go, tell me what do you know? No one knows just what tomorrow brings. And the days roll by like Cain in the summertime. I lay low and lazy, watch the world unwind, and I'm barefoot in my backyard, just blowing on dandelions. The birds, the bees, and me and my baby mine. So I give her a kiss in a fever bliss. Give her a ring and I make a wish. Give her a bow, tell me what do you know? No one knows just what tomorrow brings. And the fires all start to burn when autumn falls. I watch an owl flying, silent on the prowl, and the coyotes are running rings, and I can hear the high-pitched calls as I take my trusty axe from off the wall. And I give it a strum for the rising sun. Give it a pick when the day is done. Give you a show, tell me what do you know? No one knows just what tomorrow brings. And the work is always slow in the winter months. feel a storm a-comin', another chilly northern front. And I need the kind of pastime that can warm me more than once. So I think I'll pull the hatchet from the stump. I was born up in these rocky hills on the western waves. I climbed every tree round here, boulder just the same. And from upon my perch so high, I'd watch the coming rain. Sheltered by my circumstance, felt my way through the world unscathed. And I was 18 years when I left home, never ran away. Even so, when I did go, I kept on looking straight. And all my friends and family, they faded far away. And now and then I think of them, listen to their voices through the haze. And they whisper songs that I have heard 1,000 times in 1,000 tongues. Yes, they show me things that I have seen with my own eyes, with my own eyes. Now I'm living out in my own time, lost amidst the dust. I don't know which way to go, who that I can trust. I won't be young forever, feels like I never was. The world is getting older, but the freedom found in leaving never does. And the seasons change, but I remain drifting coast to coast. I've seen people come and go, and some I have held close. But of all my loves and enemies, the ones I think of most are the ones that I have harmed, haunting me forever just like ghosts. And they whisper songs that I have heard 1,000 times in 1,000 tongues. And they show me things I've yet to see with my own eyes, with my own eyes. Yes, they whisper songs that I have heard 1,000 times in 1,000 tongues. And they show me things I've yet to see with my own eyes, with my own eyes. Lately I can't tell apart my waking life from dreams, caught in the in-between, Drifting in and out of sleep, I stumble, wishing I could teleport to your loving arms. Keep me away from harm. Cast all of your sweet charms on me. I can hardly move my feet, glued to where I stand. Shadow of a man, phantom of a damned imposter, staring out the back door of a house that's built of doubt. Falling all around, failing to get out, we crumble. Oh, how slow do we seem to grow? Yet how quick is it over once it is? But I ain't got time to think about that now. Has come and gone, and I'm still making ash, taking out the trash, put the needle to the wax and wonder Thursdays come again, and the paper's flying in, but the news is all the same. It's just debts and dirty politicians looking through a microscope, through a wide, wide lens. You get a different sense of the way the world can turn around you. One foot on the brake pedal, the other's on the gas. You're crying free at last, only to find that death has found you. Oh, how slow do we seem to grow? Yet how quick is it over once it is? But I ain't got time to think about that now. Flying blind on the wings of time, just trying to hang on. Gotta live before I'm gone, and make the best out of what I'm given. I just hope that when I'm old, I'll drop the furrow from my brow, and learn to smile somehow. And despite my bitter disposition, gazing through the satellites at the dead end of the night, I see countless dying lights, a myriad of new beginnings. One can only wonder why, for so long, so it seems, before bursting at the seams and giving in to bright temptation. Oh, how slow do we seem to grow? Yet how quick is it over once it is? But I ain't got time to think about that now. Good morning. You're listening to KNC 93.5 True Taos Radio, and this is One More Song.
And I'm your host, Richard Aufrichtig. Excited to be here with Zephaniah Stringfield, who wanted to do we got to have him do the intro.
I'm excited to be here too. What's your tagline? I forgot your tagline.
Open-hearted music for modern times.
Open-hearted music for modern times. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah. We just heard 3 tracks from Zephaniah. We had started with the wood chopping song Ghosts and Lately. And Zeph, I was hoping for this second interview we could just open with you talking about how the song Lately came into being. I know it's a new track, and so maybe you can give us a little window into your songwriting process.
Yeah. That's an interesting one. I feel like that one...
we can talk about Ghosts, the second one, if that's better. You know.
No, let's talk about Lately. So the title is just the first line and the first word in the song, which sometimes happens. Sometimes I try to put like an extra meaning into the title that kind of explains what the song is about.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just the first word of the song. And that's just because that's how I remember it, you know? And for a while, I think when I was a younger songwriter, I wanted to like make everything meaningful about it, you know, put meaning in every single thing. And I'm trying to relax a little bit on that. Just like what makes sense, what just feels right. So for that one, that name just stuck. And it's kind of, you know, because of that, it's just kind of a story of what's lately been on my mind. And, you know, the chorus of that, oh, how slow do we seem to grow, and yet how quick is it over once it is. It's fleeting, and it's trying to capture moments of that fleetingness. And I think the song is kind of about being open to the end of things being the beginning of other things. So it comes across as a little sad, but to me it's a little hopeful too. And it has like, I do that a lot, I think, in my own, at least I think of it that way, where I try to pick out some pretty heavy stuff and then show a little bit of hope within those heavy concepts or whatever.
In comparison to that song, lately, the track we heard before, Ghosts, is like almost 10 years, has been in gestation for like 10 years, you were telling me.
Yeah.
And so, like, people might have this idea when they hear you play, you have this kind of acoustic folk style-ish, even, at least in the 3 acoustic songs we just heard, you know, that it's like, oh, this is someone who like sits down and like writes a masterpiece and just kind of like hacks it out. But you're actually somebody who really works on songs for a long way. So maybe we could talk about Ghosts as like, what are the different stages? What are the different eras? You know, how does that come into being for you? And how do you sustain that unknowingness for such a long time with the fragments of an unfinished thing?
Well, I'm always working on multiple songs at once. So that's kind of, I do them on the computer, like I said. So I've always got multiple files going, and I'll revisit them in cycles, or I'll have some time to just go through and say, okay, where am I at with this? I'll have like what I think is the more finished parts of it, and then I'll have running lists of like ideas surrounding that song, or maybe other lines, or maybe just some sort of stream of consciousness about what I think the song's going to be about. Yeah. Sometimes I'll take like a chorus that doesn't know where it wants to be and fit it to some other verses that I've been working on more recently. So I think that might have been what happened with that Ghosts. It's like the chorus kind of worked its way out first, and then I kind of fit it to some other stuff. Yeah, I remember playing that song on a pot farm in California, just like a long time ago. I think the guitar part, the finger picking kind of stuff, like spoke to me. And I think the words got finished up maybe a couple years ago. It's a funny song for me. I don't perform it ever. I don't think I ever have performed it.
Oh, wow.
Maybe once or twice at Rolling Still or something.
Hearing something special here, folks.
Yeah, it's one that it feels very intimate, and I also can hear a lot of production in it. I want to record it with in a studio where I can add some other layers and stuff. I can hear different drum parts to it and a pedal steel. I want to kind of be alt country kind of feel.
Right. You just won a New Mexico Music Award for folk music, is that right?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
We just decided last minute, let's put a song in there, which is pretty cool.
What is who do you record with usually? What's your solo music world like? How do you build those solo tracks?
Yeah, I record with Peter Oviatt these days.
Nice.
So Peter Oviatt's got Moonflower Sounds here in Taos. We perform together a lot. He plays banjo, and we do a duo a lot in town.
Right. You guys played together at the Ennui Gallery at a Sunset Series show not too long ago.
Yeah, that was fun. That's a great place. So he's been kind of friend colleague, producer. We also both do tree work together, so it's great. We'll like be in the recording studio one week, and then the next week we're listening to the tracks on our helmet headsets, while we're chopping down, or pruning trees or whatever. So he kind of helps produce and give me some arrangement ideas. I bring a lot of songs pretty fully arranged to him, but he helps me bring in other instruments, and there's so many great musicians here who love to do session work. And the last album that I recorded with him was during the pandemic, during the lockdowns. A lot of people weren't gigging, nobody was really gigging. So a lot of people really wanted to be playing music and really wanted that studio work, and we're just so excited to be part of something with other musicians again. So that's been awesome. He's got a lot of connections. Before that, I recorded with Mike West and Katie West from this band Truck Stop Honeymoon. They're in Wales now, but they lived in Kansas for a little bit. I recorded with them in Kansas and also in my house here in Taos. Mike helped produce that. Those were both more like live albums with a little bit of overdubbing. The stuff with Peter that we've done has been a lot of layering tracks, and that's really fun to get to work with just big ideas and then see them, layer and stack, and then get so far into it that we like have put too much on and have to start taking stuff off, which is fun.
Pruning again, but this time in the studio.
Right? Yeah, and then on that album we added some like field recordings that I had made and some interludes, instrumental interludes and stuff. But that the one that got the New Mexico Music Award this year was just me solo guitar. Was kind of just a demo that I released into the world because it was good enough for a folk song, Yeah.
That's cool. So I do have this feeling that like your newer songs are like the next record is going to be, well, we're going to hear 2 songs from you coming up next on the electric guitar, and even just in general with the songs that you're playing today, which are, as far as I know, mostly all unreleased at this point.
Yep.
Yeah, like there is kind of like a different direction than I've heard on your recordings, and I'm curious what that's about for you. I also know you recently started playing with The Organism, which is like an ambient group. Like I have this feeling where it's like your musical horizons are shifting or something. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think I've always really loved so many different kinds of music, and kind of hoped that came through in my songwriting. But with the getting to know the bluegrass world and stuff, I did kind of put myself into a box on purpose a little bit, and I'm kind of letting myself get out of that box and explore some other things. I think for my next recordings, I want to do a bunch of demos because I do have a lot of songs that are unrecorded, and then kind of pick pairs of those that might share instrumentation or feel, and then put bands together for those pairs. And instead of doing like a whole album, or maybe compiling it eventually,
right?
But release them in like pairs of this is a band doing these kind of live takes with this particular feel.
Cool.
That's kind of my idea. I haven't been in the studio for a while until now. But,
nice.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back in. I love the studio.
Tell us a little bit about this next song that we're going to hear, Pierrette and Pierrot. Pierrette, Pierrot.
Yeah, this was my first attempt writing a song in another language. I took French in middle school and high school, and always kind of wanted to write a song in French or Spanish. I would like to at some point too, but I'm a little more familiar with French. The Pierrot character is a French tragic clown, kind of always wishing, pining for their lost love, and searching and not finding their lost love. It's from like French theater, and I was in a relationship where we talked about this character quite a bit, and that relationship has ended, and at least in that way, and the song embodies that, looking for that love again. It's an angsty song, it's a theatrical song, and it was kind of difficult to write because it's in French, Yeah. I ran it by my mom's a teacher, and there's a French teacher at her school, so I emailed it to her, and she gave me some critique just on the grammar and stuff.
It's like your Paul McCartney Michelle moment.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna hear 2 more tracks from Zephaniah Stringfield. We'll hear first Pierrette, Pierrot, and then The Wolf and the Deer. Stay tuned right here on Truth House Radio.
Pierrette, Pierrette, où es-tu allée? Je t'aime comme l'oiseau aime le ciel. Est-ce que je t'ai perdu pour toujours? Je volerai dans la neige et au-dessus de la mer pour te retrouver, pour te retrouver, pour te retrouver, pour te retrouver, pour te retrouver. Pierrot, Pierrot, où es-tu allé? Je te veux comme l'abeille veut la fleur. M'as-tu déjà embrassé dans tes rêves? Tu es doux comme la pêche, ouais, comme la miel. Je peux te goûter, je peux te goûter, je peux te goûter, je peux te goûter, je peux te goûter. Tu me manques comme les gouttes de pluie manquent aux nuages. Je tombe vers la terre à une vitesse effrayante. Où vais-je m'arrêter? 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 Pierrette, Pierrette, où es-tu allée? Les rideaux se ferment et il fait noir. Pierrot, Pierrot, où es-tu allé? J'entends ta voix, je ne sais pas où tu es. Je te retrouverai, 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 je te retrouverai. I'll be the wolf and you be the deer, and I will fall in your defense. I've seen the writing and it's growing oh so clear. It's in the raising of the rent. Time, time and time again, build it up just to watch it fail. When will our memories serve us on the trail? Oh my, oh me, It's getting hard just to be. Hold tight, it's a dangerous ride. Better watch your stride, for it all comes crashing down. Better yet, let's watch it fall from the roof to the walls. Gonna burn the sold house to the ground. You be the wolf and I'll be the deer. Now we'll call out your offense. You bled the forests of the ones that I held dear. Never tempted to relent. Mine, mine, and mine again. Always eating, but you're never full. When will these enemies learn some self-control? Oh me, oh my, it's getting harder to get by. Hold tight, it's a dangerous ride. Better watch your pride, for it all comes crashing down. Better yet, let's watch it fall from the roof to the walls. Gonna burn the sold house to the ground. Hold tight, it's a dangerous ride. Better watch your stride, for it all comes crashing down. Better yet, let's watch it fall from the roof to the walls. Gonna burn the sold house to the ground. Gonna burn the sold house to the ground. Gonna burn the sold house to the ground.
Sounded sick.
I felt better?
Yeah. Sweet.
All right.
You're listening to KNCE Taos 93.5 FM, True Taos Radio. The name of this song...
Name of the show is One More Song.
Thank you, Zephaniah.
Open-hearted music for modern times.
I'm having just too good of a time here.
Yeah,
in the
it's good to
studio
giggle.
today with Zephaniah. We just heard 2 tracks from Zephaniah Stringfield, KNCE exclusives. It was Pierrette, Pierrot, and The Wolf and the Deer. And I was curious to hear Zephaniah talk a little bit about Wolf and the Deer, because I feel like that song has a really, almost like a 90s rock radio vibe to it that is not present on any of the other songs that we heard. It's just very catchy and very, yeah, like, how did that song come into being?
Yeah, that's actually, I don't even remember like where that song started. To me, it feels like soul music, like 70s soul is what I kind of want it to sound like, but 90s throwback is great too. I can hear that. It definitely feels like a more radio friendly song or something. You know, the chorus is a little more sing along than some of my other songs. It feels very different to me than other stuff I've written.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A hit, baby.
I think actually when I first started playing electric guitar and writing songs, because I did write some songs on electric guitar when I first started playing, and that was a little more in this style, a little more 70s rock and roll kind of stuff. And yeah, so I think that was just kind of a throwback for me of like, let's do this again. I really can't remember like when I started writing it, or where the inspiration really came from at all. That's funny. I mean, I can go back and say what the song means to me now, but I can't really remember a time and place when it first started.
That's interesting.
Yeah, some of them I can remember exactly where I was when the idea came or whatever.
Yeah.
But this one I can't. But to me, it kind of talks about class struggle and just being in a position of privilege versus calling out positions of people in positions of privilege. It's kind of a social commentary song in a way that a lot of my other songs are a little more introspective, a little more about me, and this one feels a little bit more universal issues. And I don't try to do either one really, but it just kind of came out that way. And it's again like about starting fresh. I feel like a lot of my songs are about like, you know, the line in that song is let's burn this old house to the ground, and it's you know, it's about how in flames and fire something new comes and arises, and maybe we're ready for something new.
For folks who are interested in continuing to follow what you're up to during the revolution, where can they find you?
I'll be on the road with Foggy Memory Boys quite a bit over the next couple months. We go out to the Midwest a lot. We go up to Colorado a lot. My project under my own name, I'm going to be playing at the Santa Fe Plaza on the 31st of this month.
Cool.
That'll be with Peter as a duo, opening up for Lucy Barna.
Oh, sure. She played here in Taos not so long ago.
Cool. Yeah. And then mostly, touring with the Foggy Memory Boys. I think we're going up to Colorado next week for 3 or 4 shows up there, and then out to the Midwest. And we'll be in Oklahoma and Kansas a couple times, playing a couple festivals. We've got websites. I've got a website with all my info on there. I try to update my calendar regularly.
What is the address for your website?
Just ZephaniahStringfield.com.
Can you spell that for our listeners in case they're not hip to the...
It's a weird name.
As someone with a weird name myself, I'm conscious.
Yeah. It's Zephaniah Stringfield, Stringfield.
Nice. And are you on social media?
I'm on social media. I got Instagram and Facebook. I've got recordings on Spotify, Apple Music, all the streaming platforms, YouTube. Awesome. Foggy Memory Boys also has a website, foggymemory.com or foggymemoryboys.com. Both work. And we've got social media as well with some recordings up there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Thank you.
This has been a real treat getting to hear your songs and discuss your creative process. And just thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for doing what you do. It's great.
Well, stay tuned, and we'll be back with one more song right here on KNCE Taos.